Exactly. Good morning, Instagram world. My name is Joshua Coates, and good morning, Instagram world. Good morning, YouTube world. Hey, we're running it. Hold on, let me put this back on.
Yo, I'm running it. I'm running it right now.
I said Instagram, YouTube, shit. Good morning, Facebook.
From all our social media platforms, loves and people above, baby. Let's go.
All right.
Are we already running it right now?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get it.
All right, let's see. Can you hear me? Test. God,
You sound sweet in my ear,
look.
Joshy Poo.
Yeah. What did I say?
Totally kidding.
Let's put a camera on him. I just told him the rules for naming me.
I tried to give him a nickname, but he said I couldn't give him a nickname. It was only Joshua.
Yeah, Joshua, because my mama named me Joshua. God, this is so interesting. Okay, like I've never. Usually I'm sitting over there.
Yeah, now you're in the conductor seat.
Yeah, this is. It feels really cool though.
It looks really cool, honestly.
Well, because like
yo,
when I was younger, I always wanted to be a DJ.
Low-key, I could see that.
Yeah, like I just
What
wanted
would
to
be
like.
your DJ name?
I wanted to go
Joshua?
like I just wanted to like.
What would be your DJ name?
Oh, I actually had a DJ name.
Wow, sounds like you had a nickname. So tell me your
DJ Highlight.
DJ Highlight.
Yeah, because I
like that.
Yeah, people thought.
Was it because you were highlighted skin, or was there like a highlighted
That's racist.
Music?
No, it's because No, it's because I wore. Actually, like I still have them, but I used to buy the most brightest shoes, clothes, everything. Everything was purple, yellow, orange. What? I know. I'm. What do you want? You want me to keep flipping?
I was saying you were talking, so you should be talk right to the people about.
Okay,
your
fine.
highlighter shoes.
It doesn't matter.
Let's go.
God, this is so funny. Okay. Good morning, YouTube world. My name is Joshua Coates, your overnight success story. This is. Go ahead. Give me your name. I have no idea how you want to introduce yourself.
Oh, what's up? Give him my name. What's up? How you guys doing, everybody? This is Marketing with Dom. This is the squeeze, baby. Let's go.
We don't know if this is the squeeze.
We don't know what it's called yet.
Well, honestly, like this is so he and I had a conversation before, was it 2 days ago?
Yeah, about 2 days ago.
And we talked about how we just want to get shit done. Like
Facts.
it's funny because I think about this a lot. The quicker you can get to action, the quicker you can get to making money. And a lot of people just take time. They take so much time to think about if they're going to do something and when they're going to do something and how they're going to do something. And this is actually really funny because I'll put the actual like so Danae sent me yesterday. This was before we even made the decision to come over here, right?
Yeah.
So Danae sent me hold on one more time just because. Okay. Danae sent me a reel, and it was, I believe it was Alex Hormozi's wife.
Yeah.
And the reel basically was like, no, it wasn't. It was another billionaire chick.
Okay.
And
was it the acquisition girl?
Dude, I don't remember. I'll show you. Okay. I'll show you. But essentially, what she did is she was like, "Look, the biggest thing that I learned from one of her favorite mentors is the quicker you are to act." How did she say it? I'm gonna butcher this, and then we'll put it in later. But she goes, people who take a week or 2 weeks to think about, to have a meeting, to do all this stuff, by that time, I've already made 3 mistakes and I've already started.
Facts.
And I know, I know how to do it better than the person who is still thinking about doing whatever it is, which is so funny because that's exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah.
In that conversation. So let's go into some of this here. What do you do? Like,
so I'm a marketer who started to use artificial intelligence at the beginning of last year, and that honestly just changed my life in the sense of what was possible, how quick things could be done, how many people do you actually need on your team, right? what do you need to hire somebody for, and what AI can actually do for you. And of course, like I say to anybody else, if you're watching this, AI has a lot of downfalls to it. It's not as humanistic as we would like it to be. But 90% of what a lot of people do in basic jobs could be automated. Could be automatic, could be done by a computer, and it could be done better, more efficient, and more on time. So for me, it's like this new generation of like what's happening is even me learning how to be creative in how you use what's around you is the most important thing. So what I do is marketing, specialize in AI. And what I do is I partner with people and I help them grow their business instead of just being like, oh, I do this for marketing. I want to come in, do the marketing. I want to help your business grow. So that's what I do, in a short form.
All right. Now, how do we meet?
We met at a party at Travis Brady's. Mr. Travis Brady, shout out to my guy. We met at a party, and we honestly just started talking shit in like a funny manner, right? And like we were just kind of talking about what we do and stuff like that, and started joshing. And as you get older and you get in the professional world as an entrepreneur, you rarely get someone where you can actually just like become instantaneous friends with when it comes to making fun of each other, having a good time, joshing, not taking things personal. Because I'm not going to lie, even in the entrepreneurial space, there's so many egos out there that they do not. It's like being an entrepreneur is a stamping badge, and therefore you're out here sacrificing your life, and no one should be able to make fun of you or criticize anything you're doing. And mostly because we always have ourselves around other people who work for us, and we're so used to yes men that finally when you get into rooms with like other bosses, and there's a few people I always see. There's somebody who's trying to hold a box around them, who's trying to not be told, trying not to be, they're not trying to be cracked, right? They got a glass box around them. And anything that you say or do to them could crack that box and turn them from being such a stable entrepreneur and great off what they do to feeling offended, ego driven, going back at you for all sorts of crazy things. And those rooms happen in entrepreneurial rooms all the time because that entrepreneurial influencer space is a lot of putting out a character, but never being assaulted with people who see you in person. So it's easier to take that kind of criticism, but you meet people in business, and I josh all the time. Like I'm always thinking of jokes. And joshing basically just means like I'm cracking jokes all the time. I always think about
not
jokes.
just me.
Yeah,
like,
that's funny. Yeah, when you think about it, it's not just joshing.
He's
with
like,
him.
I'm that guying. I'm verbing him. That's I'm verbing
I'm
this
literally
guy.
joshing. No, that's a way of saying just like to make jokes and crack jokes. And so so we met and started cracking jokes on each other. And before we absolutely even really knew what each other did, we're like, I fucked that. We're gonna have a good time, So that's how we met,
I agree.
Shout out to Travis on the backside.
Yeah, no. And I will also shout him out.
Yeah.
It was really funny. I said the wrong thing whenever I told somebody we're gonna be doing this. Like I was at the gym yesterday, and then I said I'm gonna throw you out, and he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "No, I'm gonna shout you out. I'm gonna shout." He's like, "Just whatever, dude." Like it was just anyway. That was not funny, but whatever. Anyway,
let's go.
It's so stupid.
Wait, so who's the guy? Was it a random workout partner?
No. He found me on Instagram. And he follows me, and he was like, "Dude, I love your stuff."
Got you.
It was really cool. Like
you're like, "Yo, I got a low key micro fan base. Let's go." And
micro influencer, micro flan base, flambe.
Floppity.
Yeah, no, I am a micro influencer. Okay, everyone, thank you. Thank you.
Dude, we gotta clip that. That needs to be that's clip right there. Just that face, that clip face, that's a clip right there.
That's the intro. Like the lemonade, what you just said. It's just
welcome to my show, baby. Welcome to my show, baby. Welcome.
Oh man. I had such a good question for you, and I just lost it. You know what? Give it to me. Give me. Oh. You know what? No. Here. I think this is where I wanted to go with that question. So I'm curious to know what you have to think about what I'm about to ask. So, entrepreneurs. I heard this quote, heard and read this quote after I figured out where it was from in the book, whatever. But there was a quote, and again, it's not perfect. I might butcher it. Sorry, but be close enough to someone to inspire them, but be far enough from someone to maintain the respect. And there's a better way to do it, like the ringy like quotes and all that stuff. But like essentially, it's like be close enough to somebody that you can inspire them, but be far enough that that you can maintain that relationship and that respect. Now, this is something that like I witnessed something. I was at an event about a week ago, and this this guy owns a big practice. Basically, he said, I never post that I drink or smoke cigars or anything online. I don't even do that with people around me. I'll do that by myself and in private. How do you feel about, like, I guess that phrase? Because that phrase, it's like, do you see where I'm going?
Yeah, no,
with this?
absolutely. What do I think about that? The phrase is, I absolutely agree with it. As an entrepreneur over the last 10 years, I've gotten too close to some people. And in that too closeness, depending on where their position is, you never really know, and I say too close as in, like, when people are really dependent on you, I realize that people who don't depend on you treat your information slightly different. So for the people who depended on me and who are close into my business and stuff like that, I keep a distance in the things I talk about. I keep a distance in the conversation and what it feels or what they need from me, because anything I do in my personal life or what's happening in my personal life, I keep at a distance from them, because they use it against you eventually. They use it for a reason why you shouldn't be the boss and they should be the boss, or they should be doing what you're doing, or they don't need you at all. And it's like, the closer you get sometimes to those people you work with, sometimes, right? Depends. It can become a liability. So I agree that you keep a distance enough to remain the respect that you need to function with your employees or with your team members and stuff like that. And you get close enough where you're able to absolutely inspire each other. They know, they may know your story. They may know the hardship you've been through. They may know the things you're going through, which is totally fine. But you're at a far enough distance where it's like, let's say some crazy things happened in my life. I told you about it, but secretly I'm fucking smoking hella marijuana or something, right? I would just leave that part out. I would tell you I'm going through things, but I won't be like, I'm smoking weed every day, 9 days a week, 7 days a week.
No,
every
nine,
single
nine
hour.
sounds right. Yeah.
That sounds like an entrepreneurial week right there.
Yeah, it's like it never ends.
Never ends, dude. Multiple 16-hour days. Dude.
3 16-hour days in one day.
Exactly. And I would keep that away from that process so that the respect remains. Because I've quickly seen someone who respected your struggle but didn't respect how you coped with it, and therefore they kept that on deck and how to use it against you forever. And would be like, well, you were doing this. Well, when this was happening, you were doing this. And that's happened to me with the guys and girls that I've worked with and who worked with my business. So realizing that, yeah, you can tell them what's going on necessarily, but how you're coping with it or how you're doing it, you might want to just keep that to yourself so it keeps them respectful.
So that's something that I learned over this past year. It was it was the hardest year in business and in relationships for me.
Yeah.
Because I thought being authentic was telling people everything that you were going through.
Totally understand that.
And I had one person. I had 3 people, but one person who was actually paying me. Like 2 other people who obviously very close to me. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. I got Shayna, my sister, and Danae. Like, I've got 2 people who are very close to me who I believe everybody knows who that is. And if you don't know who I am, then you don't know who they are. And if you know who I am now, then you know who they are. Anyway, so the point is, I had one person who was paying me tell me, like, hey, bro, it's not adding up. Why are you telling me why are you telling me that you're struggling when you're supposed to be this guy? And and
Yes.
and I and the thing is, like, again, I didn't have like nobody told me, nobody showed me what being like truly authentic, I guess, and what it's supposed to look like. So I thought that telling all of your secrets and telling all of your like emotions and going into like I guess the painful stuff is what is actually authentic.
That's transparency, vulnerability.
So authenticity, vulnerability, transparency, those three things are what I know inherently in my heart and in my spirit are going to help me in business.
Yes.
However, there was this bridge, or sorry, there was this there's this thing that like I didn't understand how to differentiate transparency, vulnerability, and authenticity with just saying too much shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so people and honestly, and so and if you were my client in the past, this is perfect. I am so sorry for telling you all of my shit. Like I am that is not that was never my that was never the purpose, that was never the plan. I was really just trying to be authentic.
No, absolutely.
And so I think like now I'm pulling back. I definitely pulled back. Long story long, I lost so many people and they never told me why.
That hurts.
Yeah. But
especially
that one
for
person,
someone who feels authentic.
Yeah. And then that one person
made it clear.
Yeah. We had like no joke. And this is the authentic part that I know now is acceptable to talk about.
Yeah.
We had an hour and a half conversation outside of the studio that we were working at. In the scalding hot, because it was summer,
steamy Arizona,
and but I was willing to stand there because no one had told me what I had been doing wrong, and he told me what I was doing wrong. And I cried for about like probably 20 or 30 minutes, because in that moment I just wished that somebody would have told me. Like what I did.
Yeah, you're like Jesus
to mess up these relationships.
Yeah.
And now that I know, I feel so dumb, but I didn't know any better.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that feeling of, because there's part of you that you feel like authenticness is like letting people know everything about you. But one thing that I learned from my mom that she would always talk about is like vet a relationship, right? People don't care as much about you, especially when they're standing on top of you.
Well, how do you vet a relationship? You and I just met.
So I always vet the relationship off of need be basis, right? Like how much does this person actually need me? Because if someone really needs me, like they just need me, they will come from a perspective of need, of me. So they won't necessarily say something that will be off-putting to me at any point in time because they need me. What would they do without me? So for me and you, it's like we just met, right? And we've been authentic to a point where we're like telling things maybe a little bit deeper than like transparency and truth, right?
Yeah.
And it's partly because we don't necessarily need each other.
Yeah.
But we're like, why not have this person understand me? Why not move a little bit with the understanding of what we're trying to do? And I have ADHD, and we have this position of trying to be really deep in relationships sometimes, really quickly. And I made the same mistake you did, telling people who were working for me, who were paying me my problems, and then literally just getting fired. They're like, yo, seems like you're dealing with a lot. I'm gonna go with somebody else. And I'm like, what? Well, shit, I'm going through more now. Like you just
Okay, that was really funny. You literally just put more shit. You did not help me.
You just made my life worse. And I guess maybe I shouldn't have spoken to you about it, because at the end of the day, there's a point where they start to feel like maybe you're not strong enough to carry the weight that they're giving you on your back. right? And that comes down to those positions where I realize that it's better just to say I fucked up or I messed up, I need to fix this, than it is to say like, oh man, I had this going on, my life is like this, and these problems were happening. That actually made me feel like that person cared enough to work with me longer because I gave them the truth.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works, because at the end of the day, they have to feed their family. And at the end of the day, if their business dies, they can't even help you as a person either because their business died with you.
That's true.
And I learned that from one of the fund managers that I work with, Mr. Desi Arnaz.
Did you say front or
fund managers?
I thought you said fund managers.
No, fund managers. They run real estate funds. And he would say things like, I get what you're going through, but I can't help you if you also fail. So, and that was the first time where I was like, okay, I need to adjust what I was doing. So I ended up taking a pay cut immediately. I took a major pay cut because I needed to adjust. I needed to adjust how I was in their business. I needed to adjust how I was doing business. And I needed to adjust on what I could actually do. So I took a major pay cut because I couldn't fulfill some of these gaps. And I could have done two things. I could have either been like, I need it for my family and continued on that process. Or I could be like, I'll take a pay cut. I want to stay around. I want to be here for the long run. Here's what I'm willing to sacrifice for that position as we do these other things so that we're not losing money and that I don't have all these responsibilities. And I only have a responsibility I absolutely know I can do. He was like, sounds good. Right? And the whole situation changed. Rather than me trying to tell him what problems was going on, what life was happening, all these other kind of things and why I needed the money, I just was like, I may need the money, but I need this relationship more. This relationship between me and this guy is just amazing. Between me and, Patrick, which is his other business partner, is amazing. And I don't ever want that to be jaded due to the fact that I'm getting paid all this money and things aren't getting executed the way they happen. And I'm dealing with some personal things that are stopping me from executing these things. And I can either tell him all my feelings or I could adjust solution-wise. So I adjusted solution-wise. So no, I absolutely understand what you mean by that and how close you really have to think about what you say to certain people when they need you, or they're paying you for something that they're expecting you to do and you're falling a little bit short because of your personal life. It's easier just to weather the storm and be like, I'm just going to handle it. Don't even trip about it. I got you. My bad. I was late. And just take that and get kicked off that manner and then still go deal with your personal situation than it is to tell someone about your personal situation. They cut you as a client or they cut you as a friend. And then you're feeling like, damn, I just gave this person so much and they really didn't care about me. Right? Because when people care, they really ask. And when people really care about, when I say being on top of your boat with holes in it, there's two types of people. There's somebody who's on top of you and there's holes in the boat and the shit's filling up with water. And then there's the guy who will jump out the boat and start patching up the holes. Right? And you have to really understand how that person behaves. Like, let's say you have a videographer who really messes with you, right? They love you. You're telling them all your problems. They know you're going through some things. Two things happen. The person who stays in the boat, complains, talks about you, still ask for their money on the jobs that you're booking for them. And I'm not saying they shouldn't get paid, but they're like, I need this, you're not handling this. And they never jump out the boat and go sell the business themselves. They never jump out the boat and go like, yeah, I'm going to make sure the brand is still growing, even though I know you're down and out. That's the difference. The person who will jump out the boat, help you go get some more work, help you go do some more things, help you fill out the gap, help you fulfill this destiny while the business is growing, or the person who just sits in your boat while it sinks, and then as soon as they're in the water, the boat sinks and they float off. They just swim away, right? Because the time they had to fix the holes in the boat that they've heard from you, they've let pass, and they never decided to get out and help. And so that's how I look at it, which is like, who's going to get out and help? Like for me, I'm like, yo, I see you. I'm going to get us jobs. Cool. I'm going to go get you some jobs. That's what I'm going to go. Let me fill some holes up here. Cool. Let me go get
If I can help you, I will.
And no, exactly. And then you're like, yo, you want to do a podcast? Cool. Come shoot over and do that. Right? Cool. And then we're talking about the fact that I have a position where I know this person's going to need video and this is where I'm expecting to go with it. And that's because I'll fill the gaps in the holes and I'll paddle. I'm not tripping. You know what I mean? And I'll be in the boat, right? To me, this is me being in the boat. Technically, we're starting a podcast together, so it's like, it'll help us both.
So where does that come from? Like, by the way, I just switched the microphone thing. I think that feels a lot better.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's like not directly like in my face. So where does that come from? Like that mentality? Because like, I don't think I feel like more people should be like that.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, like I feel like it's a little bit deeper. Yeah. Like if you're not an entrepreneur, and then maybe if you have a regular job, which there's nothing wrong with having a regular job. I had a regular job. I wish I had a regular job right now.
It'd be
It'd be way more.
You get so many times you're like, man, I can't even talk smack about 9 to 5s. Honestly, I work 12 to 12 and they still get paid more than me sometimes.
Yeah, seriously. So it could be the fact that like that they just don't have enough money to help other people. It could be that so like yeah, so where does that mentality come from in you?
Nobody owes me anything. Nobody owes me a single thing. And because I've never walked into a room and believed someone just owes me something, that I feel like people I've worked with who have this belief of being owed, right? They work with me, they didn't sell the project, they're doing their job, they barely did the job correctly, but they're just like, I'm owed this money, right? Oh yeah, it's like, they're just like immediately like, I'm owed this money. And I grew up about always getting what you deserve. Like my mom just taught me like, you're gonna get what you deserve. Most of the things of what you do, you're going to get what you deserve. You may get treated unfairly at one point in time, but that may have taught you that you didn't go as hard as you should have. Like somebody may come at you the wrong way. They may come at you sideways about something, but you may have not given your all. And you really have to think about that. Because when you give your all, you can walk away from disrespect satisfied. It's quite easy to be disrespected, giving your all, and feel satisfied. Like, yo, I gave everything I had. Like, there's no way. But in your mind, she would always say, in your mind, if there's just a little bit more you could have done, and
you feel
didn't
bad.
do it, you will feel that insult.
Yeah.
Deeply. So, and you're not entitled to anything. Nobody owes you anything. So for me, every boat I get on is my boat. So if I'm jumping on the boat, it's my boat. There's holes in it. I need to fix the holes in the boat because nobody owes me to fix these holes in the boat. I don't just jump into your business and be like, well, you need to fix these holes. I'm like, yo, how can we fix these holes? You need me to jump off in this cold ass water? All right, cool. I'm gonna jump off in this cold ass water. We're gonna fix these holes. I'm gonna get back in the boat. You gonna have a blanket for me by the time I get here? Cool. You gonna knit the blanket? I'm gonna fill the holes? Cool. So that came from just never feeling entitled to anything. I don't feel entitled to anything. Do I feel like I believe I'm going to work for everything I want? Absolutely. So I just never felt bad. So for you, it's kind of like the way that I look at, the way that we look at our crafts. Like how far are we willing to do the best craft, right? Like I'm in a podcast. We're at your podcast studio. We're here. I've shot in podcasts with many videographers who I could never get on camera to build their own brand with me, who I could never get to just shoot it, right? Because they would always feel like their so only focused is on the video. I'm like, but only people buy from you. So if they're not going to buy from you, you're going to lose out. You think your video is so much better than 90% of videos? No. What's the difference is who you are as a person, how you look at it, what's your method, and how many times can you tell the public and them get to know your method, So this is what we're here to do. We're here to talk about what we do. You're now behind the camera, doing your thing, creating the method, actually doing the shooting and the production, and getting the fact that you're actually a real producer of media, period. So yeah, it just comes down to, do you feel like everything you become a part of, do you feel like it's yours? I always do. And so I'll do whatever it takes, even with jobs. I'll try to go over and above to help out my position. I've even gotten fired from doing too much. Like, you just do too much. I'm like, well, we need all these things. It was like, my boss fired me, dude. I was working in downtown San Diego at a marketing company, and my boss fired me for getting a client. Basically, they didn't fire me. I basically walked away from the circumstance because he was making it toxic in a manner, but we had all these documents and things that one of our clients need, and something was going wrong with him. He didn't finish it. I just took care of it. I grabbed it, took care of it, had a great conversation, got the down payment, brought it back to him, and he was so upset that he didn't deliver it. He was super upset. It was like, he's like, that's what I do. That's who I am. I'm the person who talks to clients. And all this stuff started happening. I'm like, all because, and the client liked me. He liked to talk to me. He loved to call me after that. And then after about 2 months after that situation happened, he was feeling like his position as the owner was being depleted because me and my team were doing most of the work and I was talking to the clients. I was like, but you own the business. You're still getting the main money. I don't understand. I'm not here trying to take your place. I'm not here trying to overshine you. They just needed it. I just delivered it. They just like me. They're talking to me, but I work for your business, right? This is your name on these projects, regardless of how much work I do.
So isn't that just, isn't that just toxic masculinity? Like there's
I would say it's ego, man. I wouldn't even call it masculinity because I've seen that in
well,
women too as
isn't
well, pretty
well,
well.
okay,
but-
maybe I'm wrong, but isn't toxic masculinity isn't ego?
I can't even. This is what I would say. I can't. In my mind, toxic and masculinity don't even belong together. Because when I'm in my most masculine space, I'm way away from toxicity. And in my most toxic space, I'm absolutely toxic. So it's like in my masculinity, we should have been able to have a regular conversation. There's no talk. As soon as he went toxic, he's just toxic. He was just a toxic individual. And that became from his ego-driven personality. But anything in the masculine space, we would have been able to address each other as men and just have a conversation. Like these are the you could be like, yo, these are the things I'm trying to hold on to, right? As I grow the business, these are the things I want to take care of. And when you did that, that just made me feel like you were trying to step into a space I don't think you belong. I'd have been like, I totally understand that. But that's not how he went about it. He went totally opposite. He went totally opposite of having a regular man-to-man conversation with me, started to feel some type of way, started to make maneuvers, and all that to me is nothing to do with true masculinity, everything to do with just toxic. And, you know, as soon as you feel like you have to fight, you can't communicate, especially as a man, we don't say a bunch, but it's just simple words back and forth about, you know, necessarily not how you feel. And so I say men can be toxic, but masculinity is an energy, and masculinity is like yin and yang. To me, it doesn't even carry toxic. There's no masculinity in the world that carries toxicity. There's people who are masculine, who are what we call man's man, who are toxic. A man's man doesn't mean he's masculine. Just means he's a man's man, and he could be a toxic man, right?
So what's a man's man?
So a man's man is somebody, which considering this generation, someone who can fix a tire on a car, someone who understands how to build, right? That's a man's man. Someone who's
okay.
someone
Handyman.
A man's man, right? Is necessarily a man's man.
Okay.
Maybe at this day and age, because everything's so fetishic, he could just be someone. He could just be a gym rat. He could just be a buff ass gym rat. Looks like he could beat people up. Looks like he's 6'4". Looks like, you know, he carries this man's man, right? It's just a look, right? I would say it's more of a look than what they naturally do. And in that man's man, there is no masculinity. There's just what actions he believes a man should be. But he lacks all the intuition, intelligence that a masculine man should have. He's not intuitive. He's not very bright, right? Like, to me, being bright is part of masculinity. Back in the day, the people who were on the battlefield killing people were the smartest people. They were reading books. They understood war strategies, right? They were the most masculine men that existed, and then there was a bunch of men who we call manly men who would usually die for the cause, and they're the first platoons that get sent out. If you can't strategize and win in war, you usually got sent out to die. You're a manly man. You can build, you could do all these things, but you could not think. You could not be wise. You were not wise of your time. Wisdom, you know, and so that's where masculinity kind of comes for me is like, so when people say toxic femininity or toxic masculinity, I think neither of those exist. Both of those do not exist. You could be a female hella toxic, missing out on your femininity. And you could be a man hella toxic, missing out on your masculinity. That means you got to go get some more masculinity. You don't change masculinity from being toxic to non-toxic. If the difference between that is like, as a masculine man, I tell a woman, I don't want to be with a woman who goes to a club. As a toxic man, I tell him, you don't go to the club because you're mine and you're going to be mine and you're not going to do what you want. That's a manly man trying to tell you what to do, and he's doing that. But a masculine man will just set parameters and then have an understanding that you broke those parameters and I'm going to move left with that. Yeah, I don't need to tell you anymore once I told you these are my boundaries.
Yeah, that's what I was. And setting boundaries is not bad.
No, it's like that's the most masculine thing you can do. And some women call that controlling. But the reason why you're not together is because he wasn't controlling. He was just a masculine man. He was like, yo, I'm not tolerating that. And if I set a boundary and I say I'm not tolerating that and you behave that manner and I move left, that's me being masculine. But if I tell you not to do it and you still do it and then I start to attach myself to you, try to take your cell phone, try to see if you're cheating, well, that's some toxic shit. I didn't remove myself to be the best masculine person I could be. I just jumped in to be toxic, trying to keep you, trying to hold you tight. Like I've never up until this last relationship have I ever checked through a girl's phone. Never, not even one time.
So
I just didn't care.
So circle that back to leadership. So like what would that look like in a business owner, in a manager, in a project manager? Like what would that look like? What does a manly man look like? And then what does toxicity look like?
I would say the difference between a manly man and toxic and like a manly man and a masculine man in business and leadership. Let's say as an example, you have somebody who shoots content, right? Oh, you have somebody who's shooting content and they go to a shoot, they come back, content's butchered, right? A a manly man with toxicity would say something like, I can't believe you ruined this. I'm never taking you out anymore. I'm telling the client you absolutely did this, right? Because what he's gonna do is he's gonna be like, this person that I hired didn't do their job, da 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 da, and therefore this is why it happened. That to me is toxic. But for me to look at this person and wonder, like, is this your first mistake? Do we need to redo it? Okay, and if we need to redo it, do I need to go with you to shoot this and I can teach you how to shoot it right and we need to give them another 2 hours and redo this? Or do I have to give them a refund and we have to figure out how we're going to resolve this work that just had to, problem? Because you may need to get paid still, right? Because you need it, but we may need to fix this problem because I may have to give a refund back to my client. Now, that's a conversation that a masculine person should be able to bring to the table and communicate because he's wise. Now, the other person is just like telling you how shitty job you did, can't believe you did that, and now you're fired, or I'm going to blame it on you, but they never take ownership of like, yo, I also had something to do with this. Maybe you didn't know what you were doing and I sent you out there. Or maybe this is something you shouldn't do. Did you know better? And that person can either respond in a very good masculine way or a very good feminine way, or they can respond in a very toxic way. And then that could create the toxicity right there, right? So for leadership, it's just to me about approach. It's about understanding, a little bit of empathy. A little bit of empathy about what someone's going through and a little bit of understanding and putting that position into the overall growth mindset over the business versus trying to blame certain people. Like I've worked with plenty people who could not take responsibility for the people underneath them. And it would blow my mind. Well, that was because of Jessica. Aren't you Jessica's team leader? Well, yeah, but I didn't do that. Well, you have to bring it to us, which means you manage her, which means we give you the responsibility. And like, therefore, whatever you're saying about her only shows me that you're willing to talk quickly bad behind your team members' back and not have their back. You're willing to show their flaws and their mistakes, but lack on your management flaws and making sure that the job was done right. And I had to learn that lesson too, which is like not working with people without just making my standards clear. Even as a person who's in business, leadership, or working with other business owners. Like me and you, right? We're talking on the phone. Let's say that, right? You're just like, I'm talking about the idea. I'm talking about the idea. And you're like, I don't care about the idea. I'm just gonna move. And now it's funny because you moved in your space way quicker than you moved in the space that I was talking to you about. And I say that in a manner which is you knew how to move quickly in your own space. But when we were talking about the other things you're doing, when you called me, you're like, oh, I'm kind of moving slow. I'm like, is he moving slow? Or he just doesn't, that's not his thing. That's my thing. So that's why I was like, just give me this so I can move. Because you're stopping me from moving. Now I realize you're not stopping, that's just not your thing. But as soon as I was like, yo, let's shoot a podcast, let's get on a podcast, you're like, let's move. I don't want to talk about it. Come over on Friday, let's do this. And I'm like, yeah, sounds good. Now I see where he moves. Right? And instead of me being like, even though we would have joshed about it, instead of me being like, well, last time we tried to do a project, you did this, I had an understanding and I was wise enough to comprehend they're two different things. One's right in his wheelhouse. One's perfect for you. The other thing was my idea that I may have needed you for, right? That I may have needed you for, but instead of sitting in the boat and sitting there and watching it drown, I jumped out the boat, I patched up some holes, I went on some client meetings, brought you up, brought myself up, and then I was like, what can we do? Well, let's do this. Sounds like a good idea? You're like, yeah, sounds like a good idea. We already spoken 2 hours about it. We should probably make a podcast. I'm like, all right, sounds good. We don't need to talk about it anymore. So that to me, that's the difference, is the wisdom and empathy is the difference between the masculine person and just the manly man. The manly man lacks empathy and he lacks wisdom. So therefore, he behaves sometimes like a child because he can't be empathetic and he has no wisdom to separate things. It's like jumbled up for him. Everything's the same. All things are bad. If this guy's bad, all things are bad. It's like, no, it's those totally separate. So that's how I look at the difference between business and leadership when it comes to like, are you toxic or are you masculine? Do you truly have the great masculine energy? Or are you just a toxic person? Just happens to be that men became toxic and this random word, toxic masculinity, that didn't even have a vocab word has come out next to all these other, what I call digital therapists out there in the world. You gaslight me. You're a toxic masculine man. You're controlling. It's like all those things are like, it's crazy to me. It's like the new age therapist on the internet has taught you these new words and explained your feelings, and now people use it constantly. Even guys or girls feeling like they're getting gaslighted. Blows my mind.
Wait, what just turned off?
I don't know.
What did I hit? Hold on.
There it is. Back up. All my cameras are up. Is your camera up?
I guess my camera shut off. Hold on.
Run it.
Oh god. Hold on. It's still recording. But
that's cool. We're gonna run it. Check the cameras. My guy's over here checking the cameras. He's killing it.
Well, so
is this camera or is that camera out? This is the camera I don't see.
Out, but I was looking over here.
Oh.
So the because we just ran it, I don't know why I'm doing it over here.
Because we just ran it, I don't think you can put a battery because you got no camera, dude.
Yeah, well, no, because I just ran it, I didn't plug in the dummy batteries. I just said, fuck it, let's move. So that camera in the back there, I didn't want to plug. I didn't want to go all the way up there. You guys can't see it, but
the one that was shooting him directly.
Yeah, but we're gonna switch the batteries now.
All right, he's gonna switch the batteries. So while we're sitting here and he's switching the batteries, so this is the blessing that we get, right? Which is the ability to just shotgun shoot it, right? Because a lot of times it's hard to find someone who will just shoot like this, right? I mean, even partners I had who would just freak out in that moment, want to shut everything down, want to change everything up because something just went wrong slightly, right? And that's always interesting to run into. And with my guy here, he was just like, oh, something shut off, let's adjust it. Like, oh, this is reality. Let's just keep moving, because at the end of the day, we can keep moving, keep adjusting, we can keep making things happen because we're wise enough not to be angry about things that absolutely are okay when it comes to taking action. Some people cannot live without that, dude. It's crazy. It's like, what am I going to do without absolutely being perfect? And you run into those people all the time who are like, if I'm not perfect, if I'm not absolutely perfect, well then, I can't be seen on social media. They can't see our first 5 podcasts and have 6 cameras come out in the first 5. I wouldn't even care if every single time we did a podcast for the next 5 podcasts, a camera went out. The next time I come back, I know that wouldn't happen. But what I'm saying is the next time I'd come back, I'm like, hey, we got to make sure we have all the dummies, because he just also taught me a lesson. First, if he was thinking about something that I would have never even thought about, I wouldn't even know he would had to have done, and I couldn't even help him fill in the holes of the boat if I didn't know that these batteries need dummy batteries, right? So it's one of those things. So
a cheat code for and I feel like most videographers know this. Can you hear me? Yeah.
You got to say good videographers know this, because there's just so many videographers these days that
you know what, you're right.
There's so many 21-year-old, 25-year-old videographers running around shooting bad.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like social media makes it look like everybody
can do it.
Is a football videographer or like a stadium or like a concert videographer. Which do you like? People don't realize how hard that is to do that.
I tried.
Like, you tried.
Shit's hard. Lighting's crazy, dude. You need to really know how to set these cameras.
Not even like. It's funny though, because the camera part is the easiest part. It's getting in the door for these concerts and these. I like that. That's the hardest part. Like, and people on social media make it look easy. Like, shit. I just put out a reel that was like a fake influencer, like. And I'll sell you my course for $8,000.97 on the low, just like, and yeah, I don't even do those workouts, but I'll sell them to you. Like, it's just people and there's nothing wrong with people selling shit or like doing any of that on social media. I'm just saying, like, they make it look so easy. Again, and that's why I have my podcast Sips and Slides, because I talk about that shit. I mean, that's literally what we're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like just being honest about like, just the lies that are on social media. And
Absolutely. I'm not gonna lie, for a while I lived in that lie. And when I first started social media, I absolutely lived in that lie. I was like, man, I'm gonna be an all-star. I'm gonna act like I'm doing better than I am. I'm gonna fake it till I make it. But the difference between learning how to stop faking it and just being authentic is different. Faking it and being authentic are two different things. Trying to say things that I know are not true, trying to suggest things like, oh, I just made $1 million as a content creator. I just bought a brand new house as a content creator when your daddy gave it to you, or your auntie died and you were fucking inherited the house. And then you post something like, hey, I made $1 million or, in content creation. That's how I got this house. To me, that's unauthentic. That's phony stuff. Now, for you to say, yo, I got blessed with this house and now I'm about to create so much content here because I've been blessed with this house now because my family member gave it to me in inheritance, that's authentic. Now, with people on social media, when I live in LA, I lived in there for 3 months, right? By the 4th month, I was like, yo, the devil lives here. I don't need to be here. The devil lives in LA. No, I'm saying in LA.
I don't know.
The devil lives in
don't
LA.
say that.
No,
That's rude.
the devil lives in LA. When you go there and if you're trying to be famous, if being famous is absolutely what you want, you will encounter the devil trying to sell your soul to them every corner you take. But in my mind, when I went to LA, I wasn't really caring about being famous or not. I was already doing okay enough in my marketing business at that time where I was like, being famous, trying to be famous at this point, I tried for like 3 years on social media to be famous and it did not work out for me. And then I was like, well, how can I just help people? If people pay me to help them, I guess I'll be way richer than I will be trying to influence people, just helping them. So if I help people and they start to get help and tell other people I help them, then that's true influence. And so people always start with influence first. I'm going to give you this advice. You're going to do it. And then you do that advice and then I'll be an influencer. I'm going to tell you how cool my life is. I'm going to tell you about these clothes I'm rocking. But they never realize that even the people who are comedy, who make jokes and they crack and stuff like that, they're really making people laugh. And when people laugh, that is helping them because laughter is hard to come by. Genuine laughter is hard to come by. A great smile, a good laugh, it's hard to come by. So to me, that's value. When people are like, oh, he's just funny. I'm like, when's the last time you laughed really good? And when you think about that last laugh, that gut-wrenching laugh or that fun time you had with somebody, and I would say that's how our relationship was built, off of laughter.
Yeah.
We're like, yo, low-key, we laughed like a few times, and I was like, yeah, I haven't laughed in a minute like this. Like, I got a little guts that woke up the next day, like, did I do some sit-ups? No, I just had a really good time. I enjoyed myself. I got to laugh. And so
You're really funny. Like
sometimes,
just genuinely.
Sometimes.
Well, sometimes
Depends.
you're an asshole.
That's what I'm saying. It's really, to you, I was funny. To other people, they're like, you're a little bit of much. But I realized that that's part of who I am. And honestly, being that authentic self of mine of cracking jokes and making fun of people and not trying to hurt people's feelings, but just, make a moment to crack up. I'm not trying to be funny. That's what people don't understand. I'm not the person who's running around trying to be funny. In my head, things that people would not think are funny are running through my head and making me laugh.
You know what? I'm gonna interrupt you because there's something that something interesting has been happening that I've been noticing, and I'm gonna swerve a couple different ways here,
Okay.
but the premise is, hold on, the premise is, I always want to be the same person in every room, no matter what. Yes, I want to be respectful. And yes, business owners are but everybody, we're all human. This is where my brain lives and my heart lives, where because we're all human and because we're all the same, I believe that if, that I can treat you with the same respect that I can treat somebody who has never built a business, has never created a SaaS product, that has never done anything like that. Mm-hmm. I believe that. So that's where that's the premise, right? Mm-hmm. So whenever I go into these different rooms and I talk to these different people, it kind of confuses them along with the same way that I feel like our relationship was built,
Mm-hmm.
because I talk to you the same way I would talk to my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
But on the same level, I talk to you the same way I would talk to my best friend if you were being a dumbass.
Yeah.
Whenever I go into these rooms, and there are these people who like really want respect. It was kind of like the conversation that we had in the beginning. I mean, wow, full circle here.
Full circle.
And I think this is where we might like end it, or
Yeah.
you know, maybe not, I don't know. We'll see. But whenever I go into these rooms, I talk to them like they're just a person, not like they are this esoteric being, and they're confused with me. And then all of a sudden they like me because I'm treating them like a freaking human.
Yeah.
That is what I believe is my superpower.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what it's called, and I don't even know. I don't know what it is. But I want people. I want them to know that like everything that they've done to this point is so honorable. Is that the word? It's so. They should be proud, and I am proud to know them for their efforts and their hard work.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, we're still human, and we can still hang out, and we can still joke, and we can still be people.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I don't know what it's called. I really don't know what it's called. But I've noticed that that's how I build relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It's just treating people right, just treating people normal. I guess that's it.
Yeah, treating people like they're regular people. Like, yeah, you go into a room, you want to treat everybody the same, and some people, and that's what full circle. Some people have ego. They don't want to be treated like normal. They've been treated unnormally for so long and so entitled to something that when they make a joke and you make a comment like, "Do you really?" You know, like I used to do that all the time. People like, "I do this. Do you really?"
Yeah.
Do you really? Whatever. We'll see. Because the reality is, it's like they want to be treated like something, and some people, that's why they're entrepreneurs. And sometimes you got to get out of your own way of why you're an entrepreneur. Who are you trying to help? Who's going to help you? What does that look like? What are the people? We're in the generation now where...
You know what's interesting, though?
What's up?
That part right here where it's like, if you can't get out of your own way,
Mm-hmm.
then the people who have destroyed their own ego know where you're at in your professional career.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of how much money. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
That like you can see like, and I'm not where I want to be.
Yeah.
So I know that people who are higher than me, who are like above me in building systems and processes, in building teams and doing all these things, they can see where I'm like the puzzle pieces that I'm missing because I can't see it because I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think it's interesting that like I can see, based on the attitude that people have and the ego that they have, what pieces they're missing at the time.
Absolutely. You can totally be talking to somebody and be like, we're not going to be friends. You are way too
Or we can
tight.
be friends, but we can't be friends right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And when you go into a room and you realize that people actually want to help you, you realize how humble you feel when you start to realize, I'm pretty humble, I'm not tripping, and more people want to help me out. Like, more people are reaching out to have me do this and do that because I'm not like, oh, this is oh, woe me. It's like, well, I'm trying to create impact for us. Like, what does it look like for us? I always say that the me language versus the us language can change how someone feels about you, and they won't even know. Somebody could feel you're inherited absolutely selfish just by you saying, I this, I that, all that. But if you have a conversation that says, well, I use we all the time. Once I learned how powerful we was, I was like, so if you're telling me instead of every time I talk to somebody, if I start using we, by the time I'm done and ask them of something, they already believe they're part of it.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a part where I'm saying, I need this from you. That is the same thing as saying we.
Mm-hmm.
But in we, someone immediately attaches themselves to what you're saying. Because like, we, yeah. Am I going to do that? Yeah. What?
It subconsciously puts them in the situation where they're like, all right, well, how can I
I'm on
help
your
this
team.
situation.
It's the team thing. It's like the team aspect, right? And I learned that in high school around junior year. And one of my coaches, best coach ever alive that I've ever had, I'd say I'd ever had, looked me in the face and said, if you don't start saying we, these people who are supposed to protect you will let you fall by yourself. So if you don't speak on the defense as in we are doing this or we are making this happen or we are doing this, they will feel like you are just making them do one thing so that you can make the play. But if we are making plays, every time you make plays, we will make you more plays. And I was like, I didn't, and they ended up giving me a book about it. And that's where I was like, okay, I'm missing this connection with my team, my football team, because I was very independent. I mean, I was very like, I'm the guy who works out after football practice. I'm the guy who was doing more than I should have been doing just so I could be better. And I realized that the people who weren't even being able to work that hard, when I didn't speak to them as being part of the team, when they made mistakes, they didn't even feel like it was their fault. They would literally be like, well, you should have made that tackle. And I'm like, well, you should have never let him through the hole. Right? But when it became, we need to make these plays, everything changed. So I think we is really, really important when you're talking to somebody. I think when you go in and you talk to somebody, you say word things like, when we do this, I heard you naturally do that. When we do this, when we do that. When you were talking about Travis, you were talking about feeling when we, and I was like, okay, he's a we person, which means he understands partnerships, but he may not understand how to get good partnerships yet. And I have only had one good partnership, and I've had other very shitty partnerships because the people don't understand, their part and what they bring to the table. So I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're now in the position of, one, having amazing camera skills, and now you're trying to scale your, let's say media business. We're going to say media business to the next level. If in 4 years you could look back in yourself, what would you have wanted to accomplish as a media business owner in the next 4 years?
So, okay, yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Let me fix this. So, I gotta get one of the over ear for me because like it's just popping out of my ear.
It's like I'm jumping out these earlobes.
Okay, so I have a nonprofit called the Coen Foundation that we started this year.
Okay.
My goal is to become a powerhouse. I want to control the narrative starting in Arizona about what is happening, what is actually happening in Arizona in a bunch of different areas.
Okay.
Propaganda is a real thing.
Facts.
And it has happened for so long, for so many different areas of life, whether it be politics, whether it be food, whether it be, I mean, like, there's so many different little parts of it.
Yeah.
I believe that media is, it could either be the hero or it could be the villain. And the people who are in power of the media now and that have been in power have continued to be the villain.
Facts.
So, if I have this superpower of building relationships and I have these assets, these material assets, and I have this team that is growing of good people, of powerful people, men and women. I want to establish myself, and not just me, but I want the company to be an established I don't know what the word is, like just an established organization, whatever, where people, where like I don't have to do the news. Like I don't have to, but I want to be able to control the actual news of like what's actually going out to a bunch of different areas.
Got you.
One of the ways that I've thought about this, or one of the ways that I want to make this come to fruition in the next year, so let's call it year 1 of 5, right?
Okay.
So my goal is to get a warehouse, and this is all through the nonprofit. So I want to get a warehouse, and I want to pair artists with beginning photographers and videographers, and a couple, and I want sponsorships from Sony, from Canon, from Fuji, from from all of these other little the accessories, the lights, everything.
Okay.
There's something that's happening in the community that's happened for a long time. That is, artists believe that they are worth more than they actually are, and then photographers and videographers and models and painters and sculptors believe that they're worth more than they actually are.
Yeah, it's crazy. And they never end up building good art together.
And so they constantly fight because the artist, let's say the musician, doesn't want to pay for an appropriate amount of money for a video.
Facts.
And then the videographer who doesn't know what they're doing thinks that they're worth $1,000 for 30 seconds.
Facts.
And the musician, even though they've been doing the thing for 3 years, they're like, it takes 10 years damn near to get good at anything.
Facts.
So how is that musician supposed to pay an outrageous amount of money? Anyway, so the point is they keep fighting. What I want to do is I want to get the money from the people who actually have it. I want to funnel that money in through the nonprofit. Excuse me. I'll say that again. I want to fund the money through the nonprofit. Then I want to be able to give the artist the videos and the photos that they need to become successful, while they use the money that they earn to reinvest in their music. Remember how you were just saying, it's literally what we were just saying, which is like you realize that what I'm good at is not what you're good at. So I was able to just run with it real quick.
Absolutely.
If I wasn't busy yesterday, we would have done, or if you weren't busy yesterday, we would have done it yesterday.
Yeah.
And then for the videographer, photographer, sculptor, the drawer, the painter, the money would come from the nonprofit, and the artist would be there to then do whatever that person needed. They can get that, build their portfolio, and then now they have credibility through my company, through my nonprofit, to then go to other people and say, hey, I've done this great work with Five Flash. And through Five Flash, I've done Joyner Lucas. I've done, that's the only one I can think of. Literally, think of any artist, right? Here's my portfolio. This is like I've skipped 5 years of experience. Like I've multiplied my years of experience because I didn't have to look for gigs. They came to me, and I learned and I failed quicker.
True.
So instead of the 10 years is pain and suffering from getting a gig and messing up, giving the money back, and then feeling bad, and then still trying to pick yourself up, do it again, all of that, right? So the point that I'm making here is I want to squeeze the. I told you this already, but like with a for profit, I've been squeezing the excuses out of the employees, and with a nonprofit, I want to help people squeeze the time that it takes to get good.
Okay.
And take the excuse of the funds.
Yeah, not having enough money, don't have this camera, you know, those basic things.
Yeah,
because they make so many excuses. Artists and videographers and photographers, they make a lot of excuses. They don't learn that, you know, got to be the best of what you have. They learn that if I had this, maybe I'll be better.
Yeah.
And that process slows you down for so long.
Now, speakers are also artists.
Facts.
Writers are also art, like art.
Facts. Yeah.
Like these, like telling a story. That's an art. If you're on stage, that is a skill.
Facts.
Writing a book is a skill.
Absolutely.
All of these things, these are skills.
Absolutely.
And certain books, long story longer. It just takes a long time to get really good.
True.
At whatever you're doing. And all of these things, I do consider them as art.
Absolutely.
So what I want to do as the first thing is, and we'll end it right here. What I want to do is I want to give people the opportunity to utilize my platform, take 5 to 7 years of experience that they need and squeeze it into one. Use credibility and then go to the people and get the jobs that they want. Absolutely. Instead of fighting for $50, $100, $25 that, yeah, it'll help for the day, but stop fighting for that and go for the $10,000 gigs.
Yeah,
go for the 5,000
hours. How fast can you technically get the skills of a 10,000 hour master's degree? And when you're in videography, you're just getting started. You spend all this money up front, and then you gotta have someone pay for you to shoot your camera gear, and like you barely even know lighting. Like I said, I had this guy who shot a video of me maybe a couple weeks ago, and the lighting was so bad that I was like, what is this? And he was just like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, And I'm just like, man, you really have to learn some skill sets, like pretty quick, you know, because if you don't, you could lose major opportunities in front of you because these simple things of what it takes to shoot for like 30 days straight, shooting something again, and really learning how that implements. For videographers, your gigs and your opportunity to practice every day is rare. You mostly only practice 2-3 times a week.
And some people don't even they can't practice. They practice on the job.
Facts. Like I'm here already.
Yeah, like I'm practicing. I'm practicing with the person who's paying me $100.
And honestly, between that and being able to go somewhere where you could just shoot is a blessing. You know, even getting paid to figure things out is a blessing. And honestly, it's really hard to figure that out when you don't have the belief in yourself that you should. Right? Do you actually believe that you could do this as a videographer? And I've worked with videographers before, and I'm like, do you even think you could do this? Well, I was like, man, that's not the answer I wanted to hear. Yo, you want the opposite of my vibes, bro. Okay, you need to let me see some of your work. Cool, did you actually shoot this yourself? What camera did you shoot it on? How could you make it look like this? Then I started to realize people be using other people's videos to say they shot it to get clients.
For sure.
And it threw me off the first time that happened to me. I'm like, yo, I found like the little bit of a clip on the bottom right hand of the video, figured it out. Found the owner of the video he gave me, called him like, yo, have you shot this? He was like, yes. And I was like, I just hired someone because they sent me your video saying that they shot it and that they were going to charge me this much. And he was like, yeah, that's why they did that, because I sure don't charge that little. And you sure ain't going to get that quality. And I was like, wow, okay, understood. And so that'd be really good for videographers and artists to come together to create amazing media.
Yeah.
In the perspective of learning and building each other's portfolio up. It's crazy. So I like that.
That's year one, and I want to help. I want to help artists.
Got you.
Then, and you know what?
That's year one. So by next year, we're getting a warehouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Because
Get a
like
warehouse next year.
because this
2025.
because this right here, and I know y'all can't see it all of it, but
It's crazy, guys. It's
so
fucking crazy back
this
there.
is the case study.
That's fact. This has been your case study. This is the real built out first version of what it would be like to be in a really dope warehouse.
And I've reconstructed it over and over and over and over again to see what the best way to do it, to just click a button, turn it on, record, and then you go home with all the footage.
Guys, you don't know how amazing this little studio is, but I didn't even know how cool these lights were above me real quick. I'm over here looking at them. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Dude's got these big, bright lights. And you see, it's the fact that my skin is glowing so well, you don't see some crazy bright lights, is because his camera lighting setting is just beautiful. So,
And in the warehouse, it's gonna have
it's gonna have
at least it's gonna have at least 3 separate big podcast rooms. There's gonna be a psych wall. There's gonna be, and then not only that, but like then in the back of it, you're gonna have like we just talked about my friend who has like light stage and audio. So then we're going to be adding a lot. Let's just say leave that to the imagination.
Next level.
Yeah, this is I am like bottom line. I don't know if I'm peaking. Bottom line, I am here to dominate, and the only way to dominate. He knew I was about to say something about the mic.
I couldn't hear myself. That's why. I was like, did I just say yeah? It's like,
he's like, I didn't hear that, did I? The only way to win is to dominate, and the only ethical way God, I want people to lose because it's the most ethical thing to do. Because if you lose, then you learn. And these people aren't learning how dumb they are.
They're not.
So how do you teach them? You get
win.
Yeah, you dominate. You get better and you win, and you just, that's how they learn. That's how people learn.
I'm now more excited.
Okay, so we're gonna end it here. It's been a little over an hour.
Oh snap! Really already?
Yeah,
snap. Well, we definitely gotta chop
an hour and a half.
This up for sure.
Yeah. So, like I said, my name is Joshua Coates, and you overnight success story. We don't know what the actual name of this is going to be. This is episode 1. I've never actually been over here in the producer side. I always have somebody else producing it. So this is really fun for me. I feel like I'm a DJ. I'm like going back and forth. So, there's well, I don't say obviously. You might know or might not know that there's so many different things that we could do in here. We could play songs. We can have guests. We don't have to do it here. Obviously, like everything is set up for this place, but we can go anywhere. We can do anything. We can go anywhere. We can shoot anywhere. So I guess what I'm asking, or what I'm saying is, like, in the comment section or wherever this is going to be posted, let us know what you want to see from 2 business owners who want to be as authentic as possible.
Absolutely.
Do you want to see new, like, okay. I'll end it right after this. There's a lot of people who like keep coming onto podcasts. Go ahead. There's a lot of people that keep coming onto podcasts, and they just keep circulating the same people over and over and over again.
Yeah,
and it's really annoying. Now, it's annoying because, like, if they want to have guests, like, bring on new people. Do you know how many people are in the United States of America? Like you were about to say
That's
something?
a fact. All right. So you got to remember this. There's a lot of people with very interesting stories, and how compelling could your stuff be? Since we're about to tag out of here, shouts out to Marketing with Dom, shouts out to our team. This is from, how do you say, 5 Flash Media, correct? Right? So 5 Flash Media is producing this. So if you can find them anywhere, you want to be able to shoot your own podcast, shoot a music video, shoot with a little bit of a unique strategy, you can find 5 Flash on Instagram, and you can find their website as well. He's going to be, like he said, closing down the media space in Arizona. And first, we're going to start here in Arizona, and we're absolutely going to try to take over the fact of bringing really good information and media to the social media platforms, as well as, gather that crowd around him and be an immediate conglomerate where we provide our own media and we shoot our own media all around Arizona just to get started. And you'll definitely see us traveling. This podcast is definitely going to go to the next level. And I think just knowing the level of capabilities of the shot, right, that you're seeing right here, this is all from his house, right? And he can shoot the same quality anywhere that he's at. So if you're looking for quality like this, you already know where to find him. If you're looking for automation and systems, right, I do the output side. When it starts getting out on social media and put out, you'll see my side of the business on that side. And I appreciate everybody who's watching it. Comment down below. Tell us what you want to see, what you want to hear, you know, what kind of guests you want to come on, or if you want to come on the podcast, make sure you hit us up, right? I'm going to let my man finish him out.
Guys, thank you so much. Like I said, my name is Joshua Coates, and you're in a success story. Five Flash Media, Joshua Coates Official on Instagram. I love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Deuce,
Bye.
deuce.